What a crazy semester. Most of you have left your campus for Thanksgiving break and won't return. You'll be finishing the semester remotely. So for most of you, that means you'll have more expendable time on your hands. Therefore, you have some important decisions to make about how you spend that time. In this session, I'll share some tips for making the best use of your time in the final weeks of the semester. I can't stress how important it is for you to hang in there. As athletes, you know that the success of your team depends on the eligibility of every player. So now is the time to put the pedal to the metal and finish strong. You owe it to yourself and to your teammates to do well. You've given up so much this semester. It's really important that you finish strong. In this session, I'll share some research-based best practice suggestions for studying, learning, and preparing for exams. Also, what to do the night before your exams, and then how to ensure the best possible results on the day of your exams. So here are some research-based suggestions for improving your performance on exams. I'll go over each of these tips individually on the next slides. And then I've also provided links to articles on the Session 8 links sheet that goes over each of these tips. So first of all, trying to cram everything you've learned during the semester into the night before an exam doesn't work. Believe me, I tried it as an undergrad and I was on academic probation twice. And don't just take my word for it. Multiple studies have shown that cramming before a test often fails. Lacking sleep often leaves students confused and without enough energy to recall information. It may help in short term, but you won't actually learn much at all. And I realize that there are people in the world with so-called photographic memories, but if that isn't you, you're going to need to take a different approach if you want to be successful. So here's what research has shown. This first step is to break your study up into smaller blocks of time and revisit the same information over many days if you want to remember it. So if you have 2 weeks to study for one final, schedule 1 hour per day, spread out over every other day. Keep your study sessions to about an hour. Any longer, and you may lose interest and effectiveness. Of course, you'll need to build in similar study times for other exams as well. So if you have 4 classes in which you have final exams, you might spend 2 hours a day every other day for 2 of the classes, and then 2 hours a day the opposite days for the other 2 classes. But spread them out and devote that time. Science shows that handwriting notes is better than keyboarding. A study found that students who wrote notes performed better on tests than those that typed. If you want to learn better, handwriting your notes is a way to go. It leads to better memory, stronger conceptual learning and comprehension. In short, there's more cognitive processing with handwriting. As a matter of fact, in my classes on campus, I did not allow my students to use computers. And I made allowances for kids who had learning disabilities, and that was part of their plan. But otherwise, I really wanted people writing their notes. So one trick that I started to use when I finally figured out that I wanted to do well in my classes was to write my class notes only on the right pages of my notebook. And I left the left side blank. That way, if I missed any of the material covered during lectures, I could compare my notes with classmates or go to the text and fill in the parts that I missed. In addition, as you prepare study guides and other study materials, remember that you'll retain more of the information if you write them out by hand than if you type them. Well, if there's anything athletes should understand, it's the importance of practicing. In this case, use any quizzes or chapter questions that come with the text to recall information, or to practice solving problems if it's a math or chemistry class. Be sure that you check the answers. And if you get anything wrong, figure out why you got it wrong. Then re-answer the questions you got wrong so that you know how to do it right. Studies show that students who practice recalling information or completing problems are better able to recall correct answers or successfully apply skills for solving problems on exams. So, practice. Working with another student or students to review material makes sense, but it makes even more sense when you use an approach that produces results. So here's one way that you can work with a partner to do well on exams. If you have a teammate in one of your classes, team up with that person, since you're both serious about doing well in the class and helping each other out. So each of you should go through the chapters and lecture notes, focusing on the things your professor has stressed. Create handwritten note cards with a question on the front and the answer on the back. If you're still on campus, you can meet with masks and safe distance to swap questions. Or you can, if you're virtual now, you can use FaceTime or Zoom, taking turns asking each other questions from your note cards. If one of you gets the question wrong, don't tell your partner the answer. Have them use their book or class notes to look for and write out the correct response, and then read that answer back to you. And it's okay if you come up with some of the same questions and answers on each other's note cards. You still want to answer them even if the other person has already answered it. Research shows that it is the person who answers the question who does best on the exams. That's why it's important to take turns and give answers. Pay attention to diagrams and graphs in your class materials. Those pictures can really boost your memory of the material. And if there aren't pictures, create them so that you can picture them in your mind. Having pictures and creating pictures helps you recall material on exams. Researchers have also found that aerobic exercise not only improves your memory and thinking ability, but even standing upright as opposed to sitting can boost your brain power. So at a minimum, get up and move around when you study. Even better, give your brain a boost with some aerobic activity or exercise every day. In a study published this September, investigators found that aerobic exercise for 2 minutes to 1 hour at a moderate to high intensity improved attention, concentration, and learning and memory functions for up to 2 hours. The quantity and quality of sleep have also have a profound impact on learning and memory. Research suggests that sleep helps learning and memory in 2 distinct ways. First, a sleep-deprived person cannot focus attention optimally and therefore cannot learn efficiently. Second, sleep itself has a role in the consolidation of memory, which is essential for learning new information. In other words, sleep brings stability to the new information that has been acquired. That's what makes it stick. So if you want something to stick, review it before you go to sleep. Get in the habit of doing a review or running through flashcards each night before going to sleep if you want that information to stick. Assuming that you've been preparing all along, now you can focus on your final preparation for the 1 or 2 finals you have the next day. So the night before the exam, you want to eat a healthy meal before you start to study. Your brain needs energy. If you run your brain without adequate glycogen, which is brain energy, your brain will not retain information. Have some healthy snacks on hand to replace that glycogen, which only lasts a few hours. Next, eliminate distractions. Turn off your phone, go offline. Don't get sucked down a rabbit hole following clever viral memes or cat videos. Don't listen to the ding or the ping. Ignore it or turn it off altogether. For studying the night before the exam, use something called the Pomodoro model of productivity. And And for doing this, you're going to set a timer for 20 to 25 minutes, and you're going to concentrate completely on doing nothing but study for that 20 to 25 minutes, and then take a 5-minute stretch break or run to the bathroom, and then reset your timer for another 20 or 25 minutes. Do that like 4 or 5 times, 20 to 25 minutes, a 5-minute break, 20 to 25 minutes, a 5-minute break, and then after 4 or 5 of those sessions, take a 15 to 30-minute break, maybe get a bite to eat, or go for a brisk walk, and then repeat it. Next, you want to set your alarm and get ready for bed, and be sure that you set your alarm for a time that enables you to wake up, get dressed, get yourself ready, have something to eat before your exam. And then you'll want to organize everything that you need before you go to bed so that when you get up in the morning, you're not rushing around trying to find stuff. It's all ready to go. And then get a good night's sleep, and it's recommended that you get a minimum of 6.5 hours sleep and up to 8 hours sleep. Being rested will ensure that you'll be alert and ready to go. And then on the day of the exam, it's really important to eat. If you want to recall information, your brain requires energy, and glycogen is that form of sugar that you need, so you want to eat something sweet but healthy, like fruit. You also want to get some protein because that form of energy lasts longer. And if your exam is later, be sure to refill your tank. Carry snacks like energy bars, or eat a good lunch that contains some complex carbohydrates and sweets that are nutritious along with protein. And then remember to drink enough water because a dehydrated brain does not function optimally either. You want to dress comfortably. Wear clothes that make you feel ready for the exam. If that means you feel best dressing up for exam, then do that. But if you're more comfortable in jeans or sweats, do that. And certainly if you're taking the exam virtually, you may not want to get dressed in anything. You're not going out anywhere, but I recommend at the very least you wear pants. And then before you leave for the exam, or before you begin the exam, give yourself a few minutes to practice a calming exercise, and I'll explain that on the next slide. And make sure that you have all of the sides that you'll need, you'll have all the supplies you need to take the exam, and you should have prepared these all the night before. If you're still on campus, you may need a blue book or a Scantron. Make sure you have those things along with your pencil, other writing utensils or calculators and that kind of stuff. And then get to the exam early so that you can avoid the stress of running late and that you have time to get to your seat and gather your thoughts. So here's the calming exercise I mentioned in the last slide, and you're going to do this before you leave for the exam, or if you're at home, you're going to do that before you log on to take your exam. So you're going to close your eyes and listen to any small sounds in the room. Be aware of those. Take easy breaths in and out, and then you're going to let go of any tension you might feel in your body. Continue to breathe in and out. Now notice your sit bone and your feet flat against the floor. Now, imagine yourself entering the exam. Imagine taking calm breaths. Imagine feeling a sense of confidence in your whole body, in your arms and legs and mind. Imagine opening the exam, feeling awake and ready. Remind yourself, you don't need to know the answer to every question on the exam. If anxiety comes, Imagine it passing as easy as exhaling a breath. Take a few more moments imagining yourself finishing the exam, reviewing any difficult questions. Then imagine the small sounds in the room you're in. When you're ready, open your eyes. If you perform this exercise before leaving for or a few minutes before taking the exam virtually, it may help you to enter the exam feeling calm, prepared, and confident. So I hope you'll take some of these tips to heart. At the very least, be sure to get plenty of sleep after studying to cement your knowledge. Be sure to get enough sleep the night before the exam, and have something to eat so your brain can function optimally. Just a reminder that I've created a links list to accompany this presentation. You'll find on it links to the articles that support the suggestions I've made, along with others I didn't cover, and I've also included the calming exercise video that I shared. That's it for this week. Until next time, take care.